I'm John Bowden. Mark Farner was the chief guy in Grand Funk, the biggest contributor to that band. He was a leader, chief songwriter, lead guitarist, lead singer, but he had some beefs with his former Grand Funk bandmates. They won't let him back into the band. That's bassist Mel Shacker and drummer John Brewer. He's through the years said a few different things, and we have a few different clips from a few different interviews, including one we just did about a week ago. Mark Farner is mad. This is rock history music. Any communication with the other guys in the band?
No,
No.
no.
But you would perform if you got the call from Don and Mel, you'd go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
Yeah, as long as it's done in fairness, then it's good. Because we used to operate in fairness. And then, when I signed my 1/3 ownership of the trademark into the corporation, it became unfair with 2/3 against 1/3. And this 1/3 just happened to write 92% of the music that other people go out and perform. But because I think I've told you, John, I am who my songs say I am. Nobody else is who my songs say I am. Just me. And I could never figure why they wouldn't get back together for the sake of the fans. Why they couldn't just bury the hatchet. Why they were all still sucking air. I wanted to see them. And maybe it was selfish on my part, Brother John. But I said, damn, just do it for us, man. So when it comes to people, when they ask me, you think Grand Funk will ever get back together? I just, I have been trying for 24 years, but it's not up to me because those other two guys are 2/3 of the corporation that controls that trademark. And even though it's been kind of hard sometimes, difficult, I still pray for them because that's the only thing that's going to get. It's not saying bad things about them because, the fans have said enough bad things. I don't have to say bad things about it. But any bands that don't have the original players, but they still use the original, title of the band.
Foreigner.
Yeah. And I don't see why don't we have some kind of a website that gives a star rating, and if you see the name of that band, go to this website and check out who's still in the band. Why isn't there why isn't there somebody?
Are you seeing the band? Are you actually seeing the band? Yeah.
Yeah, that tells the truth about what you're going to go see. Who's left, who is it, and who's presenting it, and who's behind this presentation, and where, if there's any information available, where are the original members now? Then people could make an informed decision on whether they're going to go see this band or not, or maybe they go see just because they like the music, no matter who's playing it. A lot of these bands that are what do they call them? Tribute bands.
Tribute bands, yeah.
They have great audiences because, man, the people love the music, dude. That's it. So it wouldn't hurt though to have a little truth available.
See, Wiki has that, but you've got to click too many things to figure it out. You're doing math, you're looking at dates, you're having to look at albums, your favorite album, then you go back to who's in the band now. That's just too much clicking. Yeah. You can't do that.
No.
What are you thinking about the 50th anniversary Grand Funk Tour?
You mean the Grand Fraud Tour?
Is that what you're calling them?
Yeah, the Grand FAUX Railroad. It's too bad, because it's really dishonest. As legal as it may be, it is completely dishonest to the fans. And the fans are taking a slap in the face, just like they are with that fake foreigner that's out there. There's not even an original member in that band and they go out as Foreigner without telling the uh, prospective audience that there's no original members. But the audience, the fans, don't get the truth. They get screwed again. And I think the fans have been screwed enough, man. Why not tell people the truth and go out, uh, with a chest held high instead of, hiding behind your dark glasses and trying to present a fraud.
Yeah, Mick Jones is not. Last time I heard, he wasn't going. He'd come out for a few songs, and then someone said, "No, I just saw them," and he didn't come on stage. And I went, "Oh,
yeah, that's the last word that I got, John. He's not even in it."
Is there a point where, and each time I've talked to you, is there a point where if they did want you to join the fold? I mean, legally, it's probably more complicated than people know. I don't know. You tell me. But is there a point where you wouldn't go back, or what are your thoughts on going back with Grand Funk if it ever came up?
No, if I was treated fairly, if I was, 1/3 of what was going on, and we all shared thirds, well, that would be amicable. Under any other circumstances, I will continue to do what I'm doing. But I have, for 24 years now, I have said, if they wanted to go back out and give the fans what neither one of us can give the fans separately, if they want to give them the original tree in that recipe, I'm willing. Let's go do it. But every time that is met with laughter, and it's just they diss on it, and it's like, I wish that I could say to you, what's going on even now. It's just absolutely criminal what is allowed to go on in law. And then, in order to even question it, you got to file a lawsuit. So
When I asked Dawn, it started, me talking to you started with, well, they were doing a tour, and then I said, well, I'll talk to Mel or Dawn. And then when I talked to Dawn on the phone, and yours was a phoner in the beginning too, which was, but anyway, when I talked to Dawn, he had said that, well, I think we're giving them, I said, well, without Mark, don't you think the fans are, isn't it disingenuous? I mean, and he said, well, I think the fans want what we're giving them. And I went, really? Like, you think that? And the comments, the plethora of comments, like people were going, what the?
yeah,
They were pissed when he said
well,
that.
I got the same kind of reaction because I just pointedly said to Don, why don't we go make the money that we can make while the band is all still sucking air? I mean, isn't there something about, the financial rewards that we all could be sharing? We could be making way more money than you or I are making separately. He says, we're making as much as the real band could make. And I went, oh my God. And then, somebody kind of,
all the fans are gasping now. As you just said that, all the fans I know that are going to watch this video are going, what?
Yeah. So I think that's how bad he doesn't want to be around me. And considering a friend of mine who works DEA in Washington, D.C., told me, he said, Farner, if this guy sets you up, think about this. If somebody sets you up, they premeditate this, they pull it off. How bad are they going to want you to be around them for fear that you are like them? And that's what people do. They figure that you're like them and that you will retaliate in some way and smoke their ass somehow. And I could not, I mean, until he mentioned it, John, it had not crossed my mind. But after that, I thought, wow, that makes some sense. But you could build different scenarios and make sense with.
It's the jealousy theory, Mark. I have to interrupt you. It's the jealousy theory. People are going around going, she's very possessive. she's this, or he is, whatever, whoever the person that was overly jealous, because they're already thinking. They think you think like them. They're cheaters, and that's why they're jealous.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, and you know what? I never heard it put that way, but yeah, I hear you, man. I hear you. I've never asked you about Craig Frost. How did that happen? How did he get into the band?
Well, Craig played in the Pack, and Craig, he started off as a drummer, a stand-up drummer. He did not sit down. I said, "Why do you stand up?" He says, "How the hell is anybody going to see me if I'm sitting down back there?" His dad was a drummer that stood up, and that was his shtick, you know. But he was a hell of a drummer. And then Frost, when he switched from drums to keyboards, it was just a very percussive way of playing, and he had the Flint funk all over him. Seriously, anybody from our neck of the woods, you got to have some of that. It's just going to be inherently there. So they, Don and Mel, wanted to add a third, and I didn't really. I thought we were doing good 3 piece, but they wanted to add, and as it turns out, I think it is my opinion that he was added and that I was outvoted 2-1 because Don wanted to write more songs than I was able to furnish him with. He wanted to write more. And so him and Craig wrote songs. From that point on, you can see in the songwriting credits on the albums what happened. But Craig's a hell of a player, and he is a lifelong friend of mine. I love this guy. We used to do things together that nobody else would believe.
There's a gentleman named Gary Weaver. He seems to be your biggest fan in the world, and he sent me a few questions, if you don't mind.
I don't mind.
He says, looking back at the legacy of Grand Funk Railroad and all the music you recorded, bulk of it, of course, being yours, how do you look at the relationship with the other two guys? I know there were 3 at one point, but with how do you look at what's your thoughts on Mel? What's your thoughts on Don when you look back?
Well, my thoughts are that we started 20 years old. Mel was 19. Don and I were 20 when we had our first million selling album. Just kids. And we were learning fast. The lessons were coming. Whoa, so I really cherish the years that I got to spend with those guys. And I the way I look at it right now, Brother John, is they're just off their path. I've for 23 years, I've propositioned that we should go together, bury the hatchet, go back out and play music, because there's no other 3 people that can produce that music. There just isn't. The ingredients came from the 3 of us, and we still have that. They're still playing, I'm still playing. And if they would consider the fans, if they would just consider the fans and what the desires of our fans are, then, we could go do some shows, get back together, make people happy. Oh my God.
Be a big deal. Be such a big deal.
Oh my God, dude. And it is such a joy. It's infectious when people are happy, when people are responding to the music that you just played, and maybe they felt the same way that you did, brother, when you were listening to Closer to Home. There's something there. There's something that would be so much of a reward before we check out of our bone suits.
Bone suits, I love that.
That's where I'm at with it, brother. I'm I'm ready.
Album is fantastic.
Thank you. I appreciate that. All
Hey,
right.
you've been telling me about, I think the last two times we've talked that about the Mark Slaughter album. You're working with him on this album, and I'm going, holy moly, the sound is amazing.
Awesome. Good ears.
No,
He
but like the technically the sound of it is just it's like bombastic. It's like it's really well. I mean, you know what? It's not like the old days, but the technology's pretty good, man, these days.
Yes, it is. Especially when you got somebody with ears like Slaughter.
Let me start off by saying I love the album cover.
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
No, dude, this the guy that did the album cover
Mhm.
had several. I mean, when they present album covers, they give you all kinds of different ones to look at. And this jumped out at Lisa and myself, not just because it's got the American flag and the flag's in good shape, but it's got some dark clouds in there too, John. And you can see part of the barn roof. It's got to be leaking there. you
A
know,
lot of
there.
metaphors in there. A lot of metaphors.
Oh, buddy, yeah. And so I, immediately said, "That's it. That's the cover." And it's because it spoke to us
Yeah.
out of all the other and the how about the eagle on the B side? The eagle is the only thing on that label, man. And that's really a status of what the United States, the freedom that we have had for all these years and that we have enjoyed and that people are trying to take away from us. But I don't even know if it's really people, brother. these these mothers are sticky. Yeah.
How long did it take you to put this together? How
That was uh we played at Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp, New York City. And David Fishoff, who runs the camp, who owns the camp, came to me and he says, uh, Howard Stern wants you to come over and do I'm Your Captain on his show. And I said, really? I'd love to do that. I said, but does he want me and an acoustic guitar? What does he want? He says, I think he wants if you can take the fantasy camp band. So we had Kip Winger on bass guitar, Sandy Gennaro from Joan Jett's band on drums, Teddy Zigzag from Guns N' Roses on keyboards, with Bruce Kulick on acoustic guitar, Mark Slaughter on second, me on first, and we went over there and we're standing, like 2 feet away from each other because it's a small studio. And when we started, we all had cans on, and I never did like cans, and I was not getting it. So real quick, I just kind of took them off and oh, this is it. Yeah, here we are. Here we are. And I started playing, and we get to that middle part. Am I in my cabin dreaming? Slaughter is 2 feet away from me singing the counterpart. Am I in my cabin dreaming? And oh man, he was hitting it it was like fresh cream. Dude, it was the stuff. And after we got done with, doing the show and Howard really loved it, I went over to Slaughter because I said, dude, I didn't know you could sing like that. And I'm sorry. I know you could sing. You could definitely do that. But to sing that kind of a melody and so accurate in the phrasing right on. I said, I just told him, I said, you surprised me and I really loved it. I loved it. He says, I'm going to send you something, Mark. I want you to give a listen to this stuff and let me know what you think. So he sends me some tracks that he had written and recorded at his place in Tennessee. And I'm hearing like what you're hearing, the placement in stereo, right? The guitar is right there. I mean, I could reach out and touch it. The bass drum, as he goes around the drum kit, you can follow like this. It's left to right. And I called him because I said, man, who produced that? He said, I did. I said, you're kidding me, man. I said, that is amazing. I said, that's some of the best sound, just the tones of everything and the placement, stereo placement in that half a pie, man. You did a great job. He said, I want to produce your next effort, no matter what it is. I wanted you to hear this so that you would have some confidence in me and know that I'm serious about producing you. And I went, oh man, this is from God, dude. Really, John, I felt like, holy shit, yes, okay. All right, then. Let's do this. Took us 2 years because he's a touring musician. I'm a touring musician. He'd go out for a couple of weeks. He'd come home and he's ready, and I'm gone for 2 weeks, So it took us 2 years, but I think that was providence because some of the things that you set on for 2 years, I think we should have probably do it like this and put a different tone here, different placement. So it was all timing. It was the creator's timing, and we love doing it. Our best work came from being in person in his studio. He wrote part of the first song on there.
Anthem.
Yeah, man.
That I called it. I've got Any More, and then I've got beside it Anthem Feel. Love Keep on Shining.
Yeah. That's I'm down there, and I had told him. I said, man, my son. I was telling him about Jesse when Jesse was alive. God rest his soul. I was out in the living room with my acoustic guitar, and I came upon those chords. I'm going, oh, this is kind of a nice progression. And I start playing it. And then later on in the day, after Jesse's work, they did a routine on him every day. And I went in there to say hi to him. And he says, Dad, what was that song you were playing today? I said, the name of it is Any More. I said, I got a first verse and I got the chorus. He says, man, I'm telling you what, that song is a hit, Dad. And this is at the time he was like, 26-year-old kid telling me that my song's a hit. I started believing in it back then, Brother John.